Grace knew one truth. Life could take everything from you, but she was about to learn that what was taken could be used to build something new. Hello besties, welcome to Folktale Princess's channel. Tell us where you're watching from in the comment section to get a shout out from us in our next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The afternoon sun was a silent eye in the sky. It watched Grace as she worked in her small, quiet flat. The only sound was the whir of her sewing machine. For 3 years, this sound had been her friend. It was the rhythm of a life she had built all by herself. She was a designer. She took simple cloth and turned it into bright, beautiful clothes. Her hands moved fast, stitching a new future piece by piece. She had lost everything once, but now she had found her own way. Her twin children, Joshua and Sophia, were the reason for her fight. A knock at the door broke the peace. It was the postman. He handed her a large, heavy envelope. It was not a bill. It was not a normal letter. It was cream-colored and felt important. It had a golden stamp on it, a lion. Her heart started to beat faster. She knew that lion. It was the mark of the Equinite family. It was the mark of her past. She had not heard from anyone in that family for a long time. She did not want to. With shaking hands, she opened it. The card inside was thick. It was an invitation to a wedding. The names on the card made her stomach turn. David and Sarah. David, her ex-husband. The man who had thrown her away like old trash. He had told her she was not good enough for his new, rich life. He had taken everything. Their big house, their friends, his promises. He had left her with nothing but a broken heart and 2 small children. Now, he was getting married to Sarah, the daughter of a rich family. The wedding was in one of the biggest and most expensive places in the city. The invitation was a message. He was showing her he had won. He was telling her that his life was better without her. Grace felt a hot anger rise in her chest. For a moment, she wanted to tear the card into tiny pieces. But a new thought came to her mind. A cold, quiet plan. She went into the next room to look at her children. Joshua and Sophia were sleeping. Their little faces were calm and peaceful. They were her whole world. Because of them, she could not be the sad woman David wanted her to be. That night, her friend Kemi came to visit. Kemi looked at the invitation, and her eyes grew wide. "Don't go, Grace," she begged. "It's a trap. He wants to hurt you. He wants everyone to pity you." Grace did not answer for a long time. She walked to the window and looked at the bright lights of the city. Her life was in this city, but David had made her feel like a ghost in it. "He wants to show everyone how far he has risen," Grace said, her voice low. "But he doesn't know. He doesn't know that my fall became my strength." Kemi looked at her, confused. "What do you mean?" A small, dangerous smile touched Grace's lips. "He wants to show me what I lost, but I will show him exactly what he left behind." She didn't tell Kemi her full plan. Not yet. The secret was hers alone. She would go to the wedding, but she would not be the victim. She would arrive as something new, something he would never see coming. The countdown to the wedding had begun, and the real show was about to start. After Kemi left, Grace stood alone in her flat, the wedding invitation a silent promise on her table. She had made a decision, and with it came a strange, new energy. It was not a wild, angry energy, but a calm, cold power. David thought he knew her. He thought she was still the broken woman he had left behind. But he was wrong. She looked at her children, Joshua and Sophia. They were sleeping, their little chests rising and falling with peaceful breaths. They were the reason for her fire. She was not just Grace. She was a mother. For them, she had worked and fought. For them, she had turned her sadness into a business. She had started small, sewing dresses for neighbors. Now, her designs were known in a few small circles. Her work was excellent, and her clients loved her. But no one outside her small world knew of her quiet success. This was her secret weapon. The next days were a blur of work. Grace was not just sewing for her business anymore. She was sewing for herself. She spent long hours choosing fabrics and making a special dress. It was not a wedding guest dress. It was a queen's dress. She chose a fine, soft fabric in a rich shade of deep blue, like a midnight sky. Then she chose gold threads and beads to create a pattern that told a story. The story of a woman who had been thrown away but had risen again, stronger than before. She worked late into the night. Her hands, once soft, were now strong and sure. The needle flew in and out, each stitch a mark of her hard work. She knew David would be celebrating, laughing with his new, rich friends. He would think of her as a memory, a part of his past he had easily forgotten. He would not imagine the woman she had become. As the wedding day came closer, the news became louder. The newspapers had stories about David and Sarah. They talked about their wealth, their families, and the amazing wedding. The whole city seemed to be waiting for this grand event. Grace heard the talk everywhere, at the market, at her children's school, and from her clients. People spoke of Sarah's beauty and David's success. No one spoke of Grace. She was a ghost, and that was exactly what she wanted. A week before the wedding, Grace got a call. It was from a man named Mr. Ade, a rich businessman who had seen some of her designs. He wanted her to make some custom clothes for his family. He was very impressed with her work. Grace was polite and professional. At the end of the call, Mr. Ade asked her a favor. He was going on a short trip and needed someone to drive his special car to the airport for him. He trusted her completely. Grace smiled. The universe, it seemed, was on her side. The car was not just any car. It was a beautiful black Rolls-Royce, long and sleek and shiny. Mr. Ade told her she could use it for a day as a thank you. He had no idea what a powerful gift he had just given her. On the night before the wedding, Grace finished her dress. It was perfect. The blue and gold fabric was heavy in her hands, full of her hard work and hope. She held it up and looked at herself in the mirror. She saw not the sad woman from 3 years ago, but a new person, a queen. She was ready. The city was full of whispers about David's wedding. But soon, the whispers would be about a different story. A story of a woman who came back from the dead to walk into the spotlight. A story that was about to begin in a very big way. The day of the wedding was a spectacle. The sun shone bright, a perfect golden light on the city. The grand ballroom at the Continental Hotel was buzzing with life. Expensive cars lined the streets. The people who got out of them were rich, famous, and dressed in their best clothes. The air smelled of money and expensive perfume. Inside, David looked like a king. He stood next to his new wife, Sarah. Sarah was a beautiful woman from a powerful family. Her dress was white and perfect. David smiled and laughed with everyone. He was proud. He had everything he wanted. A beautiful wife, a good job, and a rich family to help him. He had won. He had forgotten all about his old life. He had forgotten all about Grace. As the wedding was about to begin, the music played loud. Everyone was happy. Then, a silence fell over the room. People turned their heads to the entrance. A long black car, a Rolls-Royce, was driving up. It was so beautiful it seemed to float. It was not a car you saw every day. It was a car for a very important person. David's smile slowly left his face. His eyes were wide. He did not know who this person was. The chauffeur, a man in a black uniform, got out and opened the back door. A gasp went through the crowd. Out stepped Grace. She was not the woman David had left. She was not the poor, sad woman he had imagined. She was a queen. Her dress was a deep blue, with gold shining on it. The dress fit her perfectly. Her head was held high. She looked beautiful and strong. She did not look at David. She looked like she belonged there more than anyone. But that was not all. From the other side of the car, 2 small figures came out. They were her children, Joshua and Sophia. They were dressed in small, matching clothes, just like their mothers. They were not crying. They were not scared. They looked at everyone with big, curious eyes. They were the most beautiful things in the room. David felt his heart stop. His eyes were glued to his children. The children he had left behind. They were not small anymore. They were well-dressed and happy. They were with a woman who looked like a queen. He could not speak. Sarah, his new wife, looked at him. Her face was no longer calm. It was full of questions. "David," she whispered. "Who are those children?" The whispers in the room became louder. People were pointing not at Grace, but at David. "I heard he is twins," someone said. "But he never told anyone," another person whispered. "Look at how she came. She has money now." Grace did not look at David. She walked past him, a small smile on her face. A smile that said, "You thought you had won. You were wrong." She found a seat for herself and her children. David felt his face get hot. His plan to shame her had failed. It had backfired. He was now the one in the center of the shame. His beautiful day was now filled with questions and whispers. Grace had won, and she had not even said a word. The rest of the wedding ceremony was a blur. The sweet music of the choir, the beautiful words of the priest, and the happy vows of the couple seemed to fade into a silent, terrible drama. David stood at the altar, but he was no longer looking at his bride. His eyes kept going to Grace. She sat in a corner, her head high, her beautiful blue dress a flash of color in the crowd. His children, Joshua and Sophia, sat with her, calm and peaceful. They were a part of his blood, a part of his past he had tried to erase, now sitting there for everyone to see. He could feel the eyes of the crowd on him. The whispers were like buzzing bees. They were no longer talking about the wedding. They were talking about the woman in blue, her two beautiful children, and the rich man who had brought her there in his car. The whispers were about him. The grand day he had planned to show his victory had become the day everyone saw his secret. He had invited her to make her small, but she had come and made him feel very small indeed. After the ceremony, people started to talk to Grace. It was not out of pity, like David had thought it would be. It was out of respect. Her simple dress, her calm face, and her two healthy children spoke of her success. People came up to her, not to ask about David, but to ask about her. They asked about her business. She smiled and spoke with a quiet confidence. She didn't have to say how much she had. The Rolls-Royce outside, the beautiful dress on her body, and the life in her eyes told the whole story. David's new wife, Sarah, was not happy. She looked at David with cold eyes. "Who are those children, David?" she asked, her voice low and sharp. "You never told me you had children." David's face was a mess of feelings. They are there for my past," he said, trying to smile. "It's not important. It's an old story." "An old story?" Sarah said. "They are your children. And she is the woman everyone is talking about. You invited her here to shame her, but you have shamed yourself." Sarah walked away, leaving David alone in the middle of the crowd. His smile was gone. His big day was now a disaster. Later that evening, Grace and her children left the wedding. She did not say goodbye to David. There was no need. As the chauffeur opened the car door for her, a final flash went off from a photographer. The picture would be in the newspapers the next day. A picture of a woman leaving a wedding in a car that spoke of power and success, with her two beautiful children. A picture of a victory that needed no words. Grace got into the car with her children. She felt no anger, no hate, just a deep, quiet calm. She had come to the wedding to stand tall. She had come to show that she was not a broken woman. She had come to show David what he had lost. But in the end, she had not won because she shamed him. She had won because she had found her own way. She had built her own life, her own success, and her own happiness. The Rolls-Royce was just a ride. The real treasure was the life she was living. The Rolls-Royce drove away, a silent symbol of Grace's victory. The real story was not about a man who lost his pride, but a woman who found her power. She had taken her pain and used it to build a new life, a life of success and happiness. She did not need revenge. Her success was her revenge. What do you think about Grace's story? Have you ever had a moment where you turned a painful situation into your greatest strength? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories.